Tyler orders dinner off his phone before he even sits down on the couch. $14 for a burger that costs $7, 2 blocks away. He does not check the total before he taps confirm. He never checks the total. That habit alone will cost him more than a month of rent by the end of this year. Marcus calls it the normal tax. Not inflation, not one bad decision on one bad day, just the quiet cost of doing something simply because it used to make sense, long after the math underneath it changed. 9 ordinary habits are pulling money out of accounts right now that almost nobody notices, because every one of them still feels completely normal while it happens. Stay through all 9, because the order matters. The first one feels harmless. The last one is the one almost nobody wants to admit they are still paying for. Marcus is not here to judge it. He is just going to run the accounting, out loud, one habit at a time. 5 years ago, most of these purchases made sense. Wages moved a little, prices moved faster. Somewhere in that gap, a set of everyday habits quietly turned into small, steady leaks. The kind nobody notices because no single charge is ever large enough to question on its own. That is the entire design of the normal tax. Nothing about it is supposed to feel large in the moment. It is only large when you add up a full year of it, and almost nobody does that math while they are living it. None of these 9 habits started as a mistake. Every one of them started as a reasonable answer to a reasonable question. Somebody is tired, so they order in. Somebody wants to feel like the day mattered, so they buy the coffee, the dinner, the small upgrade. There is a version of modern life that quietly insists a person has to keep doing all of it, all the time, at the current price, or something about them has fallen behind. That pressure is not personal, and it is not really about willpower. It is cultural, it is constant, and it never once sends a bill that says exactly what it cost. It just moves a little more money out of an account every month than the account can actually recover from, and it counts on nobody sitting down to check. Marcus is not unaffected by any of this because he is disciplined. He is unaffected by most of it because he already ran the numbers once, wrote them down, and never had to relitigate the decision every single time the opportunity came back around. That is the actual difference between the 9 habits and the 9 one-time decisions hiding underneath them. A decision made once, with real numbers in front of it, does not need willpower the next time it shows up. A habit that was never examined needs willpower every single time, which is exactly why it usually loses. The first habit is the delivery app. Not the occasional order on a night nobody wants to cook. The habit. The 2-3 orders a week that quietly became the default instead of the exception. The menu price on the app is rarely the menu price at the counter. Restaurants pay a commission on every order that comes through the platform, and that commission does not come out of anyone's profit margin. It comes out of the price printed on the app. Add a delivery charge, a service charge, a small order charge if the total does not clear a minimum, and a tip on top of all of it. And a dinner that would have cost $14 in person quietly becomes $24. Tyler does this twice a week. He is not buying dinner. He is buying the version of dinner that arrives without him standing up, and the premium on that convenience runs him somewhere close to $1,500 a year, money that, invested instead of ordered, would have quietly become several times that by the time he is ready to retire. The app itself is not designed to make that math obvious. Every screen is built to remove friction between wanting food and paying for it, and the subscription tier that waives the delivery fee only makes the habit feel cheaper while making it happen more often. An occasional order on a night nobody has the energy to cook is not the problem here. The problem is the habit that quietly replaced cooking altogether, 3 or 4 nights a week, without ever being chosen on purpose. The second habit is financing things that were never meant to be financed. 4 easy payments sounds harmless because the number in front of you shrinks. $50 a month feels like nothing. $200 all at once feels like something. The math has not changed, only the way it is presented, and the presentation is the entire product. People using these small installment plans consistently spend more than they would have spent paying the full price up front, because the plan removes the one moment that used to make someone stop and ask whether they actually needed the thing. A pair of shoes financed in 4 payments is still a pair of shoes bought with money the buyer did not yet have, dressed up to feel like it was free. If any of this is landing so far, a like takes about 2 seconds, and it is the easiest way to get this in front of someone who is about to make one of these 9 decisions without thinking about it. The third habit is the new car. The moment it leaves the lot, it loses roughly a fifth of its value, and by the end of the first year, that number is closer to a quarter. A car bought new for close to $50,000 is worth somewhere around $36,000 before its first birthday, and if most of that purchase was financed, the owner is often underwater on the loan before the first oil change. A car 5 years old has already absorbed that steep drop and usually has years of reliable driving left in it. Modern engines routinely run well past 150,000 miles with basic maintenance, which means the person buying that 5-year-old car can drive it for another 3 or 4 years and sell it for close to what they paid, while the person who bought new watched a third of the purchase price disappear before the first service appointment. The gap between financing a brand new vehicle and buying a well-kept 5-year-old one in cash is close to $9,000 a year, every year, for as long as the habit continues. That is not a small number. That is close to a down payment, disappearing quietly into a depreciation curve most people never actually look at, for a vehicle that gets a person to the same job, on the same roads, at the same average speed as the one it replaced. The fourth habit is eating out on a schedule instead of an occasion. Restaurant prices have climbed sharply over the last several years, and portions have not grown to match them. A casual dinner for 2, with drinks, now regularly clears $100 before the tip, for a meal that would have cost roughly half that not long ago. None of this means the celebration dinner stops making sense. It means the weekly version of it, the one that happens out of habit rather than occasion, is quietly costing a family upward of $10,000 a year for food that a properly stocked kitchen could produce for a third of the price, and, most weeks, a better result. The fifth habit is the subscription stack. Streaming was supposed to replace one expensive cable bill with one small one. Instead, the content spread itself across 5 or 6 different platforms, each one holding back just enough of what people actually want to watch, that canceling any single one feels like giving something up. Add them together and a household is often paying close to what cable used to cost, just broken into pieces small enough that no single charge feels worth canceling on its own. The fix is not complicated, it is just inconvenient in a way that requires actual discipline. Subscribe to one at a time, finish what you came for, cancel, move to the next. It is the same content, in the same order eventually, for a fraction of what paying for all of it at once actually costs. If you are not subscribed yet, now is a good time. New videos on exactly this kind of quiet math go up every week. The sixth habit is upgrading a phone every single year out of habit rather than necessity. The distance between 1 year's flagship device and the one from 2 or 3 years ago has narrowed to almost nothing that an average person would notice in daily use. The photos are marginally sharper, the apps open at roughly the same speed. The upgrade cycle exists because the marketing calendar demands a new device every year, not because the old one stopped working. Someone who replaces a flagship phone every single year instead of every 3 is spending several $100s annually on a difference most people could not identify in a blind side-by-side comparison. The seventh habit is the oversized event. A wedding, in particular, has become one of the most reliable ways to attach a 5-figure price tag to a single afternoon. The moment the word wedding enters a vendor conversation, the price of the flowers, the venue, and the photography quietly moves in a direction that has nothing to do with the actual cost of providing the service. None of this means the ceremony does not matter. It means paying for it with a credit card balance that follows a couple into the first years of a marriage is trading a single afternoon of spectacle for years of a financial conversation neither of them wanted to be having. The eighth habit is buying the name on the label instead of the product inside it. A store brand version of nearly everything on a grocery shelf, from cleaning supplies to basic medication, is frequently made in the same facility as the name brand sitting next to it, at a fraction of the price. The premium on the name is not a premium on quality. It is a premium on the advertising budget required to convince a shopper the name matters more than the ingredients. Switching the household staples over to store brand, quietly and without anyone noticing a difference in how anything performs, tends to put somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a year back into an account that used to send it to a marketing department instead. If you want us to walk through a situation that looks closer to yours in a future video, drop it in the comments. This list is not the only place the normal tax shows up. The ninth habit, the one almost nobody wants to hear about, is the daily coffee run. A $6 drink, 5 days a week, is a little over $1,500 a year. Made at home with decent beans, the same habit costs closer to $200. The gap is not really about coffee. It is about the fact that this is the smallest, most defensible item on the entire list. And it is exactly the kind of small, defensible spending that people refuse to examine, which is precisely why it is worth examining. Invested instead of spent, over a full working life, that gap alone quietly becomes a number with 6 figures in front of it, for a habit most people would tell you does not even register. None of these 9 things are wrong to spend money on. A meal out, a new phone, a wedding day, a cup of coffee somebody actually enjoys. All of that has real value attached to it, and nobody on this channel is going to tell you to strip your life down to nothing in the name of a spreadsheet. The problem was never the spending. The problem is doing it on autopilot at a price that quietly moved while nobody was watching, simply because it used to be normal. Marcus does not avoid any of these 9 things out of restriction. He has just already run the accounting on each of them once and made a decision instead of continuing a habit. That is the entire difference between the normal tax draining an account for years without anyone noticing and the same money quietly building something instead. Nobody claps for the version of your life where you know exactly what something costs before you buy it. Nobody notices the quiet position at all, which is exactly why it works. If videos like this are part of how you keep an honest eye on where your money actually goes, subscribing keeps them coming, every week, without you having to go looking for them. Run your own list before you run anyone else's. Pick the habit on this one that made you a little uncomfortable, the one you skimmed past a little too fast, and do the actual math on it this week, not the version in your head. The real number, for a full year, written down somewhere you will actually look at it again. That is the whole difference between the normal tax and the quiet position. One of them happens automatically. The other one takes about 10 minutes with a calculator, once, and then it just keeps paying you back. None of the 9 numbers in this video are going to feel dramatic on their own. That is exactly why they survive. A leak that took a house down all at once would get fixed the same day. A leak that takes 20 years gets called a lifestyle. Marcus has never once described any of this as sacrifice, because none of it is. It is closer to noticing a bill that was already being paid, and simply deciding, once, whether it was worth it. Most of the time, 1 or 2 of these 9 genuinely are worth it, and the rest were never actually a choice at all, just a habit that outlived the reason it started. The gap discipline is not about spending nothing. It is about making sure the spending still matches a life someone actually chose, instead of a set of defaults nobody ever looked at twice. That is the entire premise of this channel, said 9 different ways in 9 minutes, and it will keep getting said, because the normal tax does not stop collecting just because somebody watched one video about it.